So I understand, Haroon, we have over 200 people from more than 100 countries. Have I got that correct?
That's correct. We have over 200, like over 220 guests registered from 100 institutions. Yeah.
That's absolutely amazing. And we've just been joined by our new president and vice chancellor. Jeff has just come in. Morning, Jeff.
Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today?
Good, good, Jeff. How are you?
Very good, thanks. I was able to fit some meetings in that coming through Zoom, so it's a pleasure joining everybody.
Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. While we wait for a few more people to hop on the call, if you would like, feel free to add your institution name either beside your name in your Zoom title, or if you'd like to pop it into the chat bar so that we know where you're calling in from today, that would be fantastic.
Okay, so 9:01 Regina time. We can start. I think more colleagues will be joining us like within the next few minutes. So thank you so much for joining us today, esteemed colleagues from around the world. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all to the University of Regina's International Virtual Exchange Forum. My name is Haroon Chaudhary. I'm acting Associate Vice President International at the University of Regina. We are so grateful to each of you for joining us today to listen, share, and open up the doors for collective learning during this challenging time. Before we begin, I would like to first acknowledge that University of Regina is situated on the territories of Nahiwak, Onish Ainepak, Dakota, Lakota, Nagoda, and the homeland of Michif Nations. The University of Regina is on the Treaty 4 lands with a presence in the Treaty 6. We welcome you all to share in the chat bar where you are located and the indigenous land you may be situated on. We are fortunate to work with so many amazing individuals from across the world and here in Canada. The ingenuity, perseverance, and strength you have all shown within your institution over the last year has truly inspired us. We are so grateful to be able to share this space with all of you, to learn from one another and collectively work together as we all continue to navigate this incredibly unique time. I'm pleased to inform you, as we mentioned in the beginning, we have over 200 guests registered for this forum from over 100 institutions from around the world. Before we move on, I would like to invite our interim president and vice chancellor of the University of Regina, Dr. Thomas Chase, for his welcoming remarks. Dr. Chase.
Thank you, Haroon, and thanks to you, Anastasia, and all your colleagues in UR International for facilitating this really extraordinary gathering. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to each of you, wherever you are in more than 100 institutions, as Haroon has said, around the world. It is a great privilege to bring greetings to you and to speak with you very, very briefly. So welcome. I'd just like to begin by reflecting on some of the challenges that we've all faced in the past year since the COVID-19 pandemic began to affect life around the globe. We know that our international research activities have been substantially curtailed. We know that global student mobility has been reduced, and that is both incoming and outgoing students. We know that in-person short-term exchanges have been largely not possible, and just those international connections that we had all grown accustomed to starting and fostering and increasing, those have been harder to build and maintain during this year of pandemic. But all of you, individually and collectively, have risen to the challenge of the new normal that we faced over the past year. We found new ways of doing things, and Zoom, of course, is certainly one of them. I don't think a year and a half ago that any of us would have predicted that we'd be spending large parts of our working day on Zoom, both with colleagues who might normally be down the hallway, and now in a meeting like this today with people from virtually around the world. In terms of other ways of rising to the challenge, remote programming and supports, trying to give our students the best possible experience when we can't have them in large numbers on campus. We have developed virtual exchange programs. They're not quite the same as in-person international experiences, but they make the most of what is possible at this time while we want to remain safe and to keep our communities safe. So there's been so much adaptability, so much flexibility, and so much rethinking of our processes. We're all looking forward to a post-vaccine world. And indeed, in the last couple of weeks, there have been some really encouraging signs. The efficacy of the various vaccines, the gradual increase in the vaccine supply, the increase in the vaccination rate in many countries, and a lessening of the hospitalization rate in so many countries around the globe. All of these things are encouraging. They encourage us to ask the question, when can we resume international activities as we have had them in the past? As we plan for the future, we want to reflect very carefully on what the pandemic has taught us. We cannot waste that opportunity. Things that we have developed, like virtual exchanges, will have a role in the future. What virtual components can supplement in-person activities going forward? So I know that you would join me in saying that we must be open to new ideas, new ways of operating, and new ways of meeting student needs and expectations. Today is a great step forward in our planning, and I am so glad on behalf of the University of Regina that you have been able to participate. There are some fantastic guest presenters from the Universidad de Colima in Mexico, from Cal State and Monterey Bay in the United States, from the University of Essex in the United Kingdom, from the Bielefeld University of Applied Sciences in Germany. We very much appreciate your willingness to share your experience with this large, diverse, dynamic, and forward-looking group of people. So I'll conclude by saying, Haroon, thank you to everyone here today for your attendance and for your commitment to our students and their international education. I know this forum will be very productive. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chase. Today, we are privileged to share the virtual stage with a group of our esteemed colleagues from around the world. We hope that the knowledge and experience shared here today will help to propel us all forward into 2021 with new ideas and fresh perspective. I would like to introduce now my colleague, Anna Sorensen, Manager of Study Abroad and Global Mobility at the University of Regina, to introduce our panel of speakers and begin the presentation portion of the forum. Anna, thank you.
Thank you so much, Haroon and Dr. Chase. And thank you to all for joining us today. It is my pleasure to introduce our panel of speakers from a few of our partner institutions across the world. From Universidad de Colima in Mexico, Christian Perez and Samantha Ortiz. From California State University, Monterey Bay in the United States, Casey Scolavino and Sue Ronquillo. From Bielefeld University of Applied Sciences in Germany, Vicky Groscroix and Maximilian Custa. And from the University of Essex, United Kingdom, Rosie Bonney. Together, we will each be sharing a brief presentation speaking to our unique perspectives regarding the learnings and successes that we have encountered throughout the last year. Following these presentations, we will open the floor to all of our colleagues present with us today. And we invite everyone to engage in an open conversation. We invite you to ask questions, share comments, or speak to your experience of global mobility during the pandemic. A couple of housekeeping notes before we get started. I would just like to make sure that everyone has their cameras and microphones turned off for the duration of the presentations. And if you would like to make a comment or add a question, please do so within the chat function that we will address after the presentations conclude. During the discussion period, I invite you to raise your virtual hand, which is in the bottom right-hand corner of your Zoom screen, if you would like to be called upon to offer your thoughts or ask a question, as we are very eager to hear from everyone today. So with that being said, we will now get started. My colleague Taylor Marshall and I will be presenting on behalf of University of Regina International. So the University of Regina International is incredibly proud to have rolled out our new virtual study abroad program. As COVID hit and the world changed so dramatically in such a short span of time, we quickly began to realize the importance of adaptation, innovation, and connection. These 3 points are the pillars of why we created our new program and how we intend to build on it moving forward. So although COVID indeed created setbacks in all of our plans, this pandemic certainly has not stopped us from pursuing our goal of empowering students to become global citizens. Allowing our students the opportunity to experience new cultures, step outside of their comfort zones, and expand their global perspective is more important than ever. Our students' desire to connect virtually has been admirable, and seeing our partners go above and beyond to help both their students and ours achieve international education goals, even virtually, has been truly inspiring for us. So we have obviously seen massive changes not only to our world as we know it in the last year, but also in the way that the education sector has had to adapt. We saw the need to adapt quickly to remain competitive and show that we're ready and willing to pivot in innovative ways to meet the growing virtual demands that this pandemic has created. We also wanted to ensure that we had international opportunities available to our students and give them back a piece that was taken from them and all of us, which was the ability to travel and immerse ourselves in new cultures. Creating this program has been a fantastic way to re-engage with the international community. We were absolutely blown away by the response from our partners across the world when we came to them about our virtual exchanges, and especially all of you here today, how willing you were to help our students have this virtual opportunity and open the door to your students as well has been really amazing to see. So we officially rolled out our virtual program for the winter 2021 term that is currently in progress to great success. And we truly believe that this type of programming, both virtual and hybrid, will remain available far into the future, even after travel commences again. For us, it's truly always coming back to what is best for our students and how we can help them be as successful as possible. So to give them every opportunity to expand their knowledge base, not only here in Canada, but internationally as well, has been one of the reasons that we created this program.
So in order to make sure that as many student groups as possible had access to the unique opportunities and advantages that a virtual exchange program had to offer, our marketing strategy included a number of different initiatives. We conducted consultation meetings with faculties on our campus. We held presentations for not only our faculty academic advisors, but also our colleagues in specialized student support units and offices. We also made sure to host multiple virtual open house events for students where we not only shared program specifics, but we gave students ample opportunities to ask any questions that they may have about the process. Social media also played a really important role in our virtual program promotion, as we engaged all our social media handles in this regard. And additionally, email updates were a key marketing tool. We sent regular communication to all international partners, current students, and both inbound and outbound students with deferred exchange placements about this new virtual program offering. And beyond this, we also maintained just continuous communication with interested stakeholders. So now we want to discuss Why go virtual? Well, it's a great question and something that was keenly asked of us as we began creating the program. Obviously, I think it goes without saying that there's nothing truly like the experience of a traditional exchange and the impact that an immersive cultural experience can have. But with this being said, there are some incredible benefits to a virtual exchange that were just too beneficial to pass up. One very important benefit was the facilitation of greater equity and accessibility to our students. So with virtual programming, international education is more accessible to students who may otherwise not have been able to participate in a traditional physical mobility program for a number of reasons. With virtual programming, the benefits of international education are available to a greater number of students. So some of these benefits include the chance to develop intercultural skills and global perspectives. Even though students are not physically in their host country, virtual programming allows them ample opportunity for intercultural interactions and global-oriented skill building with both academic components and the cultural and social events that are embedded within virtual programs. Networking is another great advantage that comes with a virtual program. Beyond the interactions with fellow international student peers, virtual exchange students, they do have the chance to make important academic and even professional contacts within their virtual program, which can assist and widen students' opportunities in the future, especially if they're considering graduate programs or even professional opportunities with a global focus in the future. And finally, the financial benefits are perhaps the most obvious draw to a virtual exchange program. Financial equity that is provided with virtual programming has really been our gold star. As we saw pre-COVID with traditional exchanges, finances were often one of the most significant barriers for our students. So physical mobility costs included plane tickets, health insurance, leisure spending, visa and passport fees. The costs were many, but with all of these travel costs now out of the way, international education becomes much more accessible to a more diverse group of students on our campus.
So the opening of this new virtual chapter at the University of Regina allowed us to create something that is adaptable and can be customized to fit the needs of a larger group of students. A virtual exchange experience opens the door to be inclusive to all students' needs, especially to a group that were not previously participating in traditional exchanges for a variety of reasons. It allows students to trial a virtual experience from the safety of home and to maybe participate in a traditional exchange down the road. We have created many supports to make sure that we are always available to help students make the right choices for them in terms of which classes best suit them, giving them continuous support both academically and socially from tutoring, English language help, mental health supports, and cultural competency workshops. And lastly, something that we're all missing a little bit these days, social engagement. We are providing 2 sessions per week to our students where we offer free Zoom-based cultural activities where they can chat with us, other exchange students, people in our community, and U of R students as well to virtually foster connections and immerse themselves into Canadian culture. So one of the components of our virtual program that we are most proud of is the value-added programming that we've included. The significance of an immersive cultural experience can't be ignored, so we have modeled our activities to give students the most immersive experience possible. And some of these activities include virtual guided tours of landmarks like our U of R campus, the Royal Saskatchewan Museum, the Mackenzie Art Gallery, Indigenous historic sites, and we host weekly Zoom conversations with activities like Canadian trivia, cooking classes, virtual board games, and World Fair gatherings, which gives our students the opportunity to share their culture, as well as learning about Canadian culture and customs. And additionally, as Taylor spoke to before, networking and meeting people in your area of study is so important for students' growth. So we've included specific activities to promote networking with Zoom sessions and events to foster student connections and social interaction between both our inbound and outbound students, including mini United Nations sessions between our current U of R students and past and present international exchange students. All of these events have had really high participation rates from our students, especially those activities that allow them to share their own culture, and also the activities that involved virtual tours of landmarks have been incredibly popular. So to give a little more perspective into what our virtual exchange activities have looked like this term, one of our current amazing inbound students, Sheila, spoke to her thoughts on the program and would like to share them with you today in a very short video. And her thoughts are included with some clips of our virtual activities over the semester, so you can get a little bit of a visual of what we've been doing.
Hello, I'm Sheila from Mexico, and I just want to invite everyone to join a virtual exchange because it is a great opportunity and a great experience because you get to meet different people, learn about different cultures, and also learn from the courses that the UR offers. For example, professors always make these breakout rooms where you get to interact with your classmates, which makes the class even more interesting, and I think that's great because you also meet new people. And the study abroad team always makes these virtual sessions where you get to interact with other exchange students and you get to know about their culture, you get to know about Canadian culture, and also share about your own culture, which I think is also great. And they also do these virtual tours where you get to see the museum or the campus. And I think that's great because it actually makes you feel like if you were there and makes you want to go there even more. So I completely recommend it. Thank you.
All right, so to kind of recap how virtual programming can truly open pathways for our students, there are 4 areas or 4 C's that can assist us in focusing on how virtual programming can make international education more accessible to a broader group of students. So our first C, cost, is often a perceived and a real barrier for many students. As mentioned previously, costs are significantly reduced with a virtual exchange, and financial challenges are made much less impactful for students. Curriculum is another real concern for many students as well. Students often fear that they won't be able to successfully obtain transfer credit at their home university during an exchange. Additionally, they fear experiencing a new academic system in another country. But with a virtual exchange program, students work very closely with their U of R academic advisor to select classes at their virtual host school that will have strong transfer credit potential for their U of R degree program. And without the added stress of culture shock or the mental drain of navigating a new city or language simultaneously, students are able to reserve their energy to solely focus on adjusting to a new academic system at their virtual host school. So the next C, culture, is a factor with virtual exchanges in terms of how they can address this concern as well. We see that students often experience fear of a new culture or a new country, and alternatively, it may be extremely vital for other students to maintain close connections or even physical proximity to their home culture here in Canada. But with virtual programming, it allows students to ease into cultural immersion, to engage in intercultural sharing and interaction in a way that is not overwhelming and allows them to maintain their close ties to family or home culture here in Canada. And finally, another important C to consider is circumstance. Students may have family responsibilities, personal health matters, career obligations, or any other number of personal circumstances that really make it difficult to travel or physically be in another country. Virtual exchange programming really opens the door for many students when it comes to addressing these personal circumstances that otherwise prevent them from experiencing international education and its benefits. So let's talk about now how challenge meets opportunity. We thought it would be helpful to discuss how these different challenges that we've encountered with COVID and even with the rollout of virtual mobility itself has in turn allowed us opportunities for growth as well. So challenges such as the stress of online learning and time zone differences have really forced us to review and adapt our current models of learning, support, and engagement for our students in an effort to try and help them face these really, really unique circumstances in this time that we're all living in. And although COVID-19 has presented difficulties in all of our lives, particularly in the academic sphere, it's also enabled us to continually reflect on how we can make our services and supports more impactful for our students, not only now, but continuing forward as well. And this focus on creating stronger, more diverse, and importantly, more accessible academic, social, and mental health supports has really allowed our students and our partners to collaborate and engage in a very meaningful way in this virtual setting. So where are we now? We are almost at the end of our virtual exchange semester, and it really is the ideal junction to reflect on our highlights and experiences so far with this first semester under our belt. So we have had 65 participating students in this winter 2021 term. We've had significant increase in interest for upcoming academic terms. And we've also seen more diversity in our student groups who are looking to engage with our virtual mobility programs, such as Indigenous students, students with disabilities, and even international students here at the U of R looking to engage in virtual exchanges. Additionally, we've seen new international partnerships created, which in turn helps to facilitate further opportunities for our students. Finally, we've seen increased faculty engagement to assist both our students and the respective faculties on campus with individual internationalization efforts, which has been really great to see.
So I'll briefly recap some of the main takeaways that we feel are most important when it comes to our new virtual programming and what will help us to continue to find success in the virtual space as it continues to change over the next many years. The first key point, remaining malleable and fluid. This new virtual world will continue to evolve, and we will continue to adapt as necessary to meet the changing needs of our students. The second is to always continue to search for new opportunities. As this virtual education space continues to grow, we can create new pathways to engage and connect with a more diverse group of students and to mobilize a larger group of students as well. And lastly, the importance of student engagement, ensuring that we deliver a positive and immersive cultural experience while always being sure to prioritize the supports of our students as they navigate through their virtual exchange education. The point of creating this entire program and offering these virtual opportunities is to help our students, and we want to continue to put them first. So to conclude, this quote is incredibly fitting for this new journey as we adapt to a post-COVID world. It's not about the destination, but the journey. This last year has certainly taught us that things can change in an instant. So remaining in the present moment, focusing on what's important, and adapting along the way is what will help us successfully move forward. So our team at UR International is incredibly proud of this new program, and we're excited to see where it evolves in the future. We're thrilled to be able to offer this opportunity to a truly diverse group of students, and we'll continue to look for ways to help our students become global citizens. This pandemic has certainly made us yearn for travel more than ever before, but having the unique ability to converse face-to-face in real time with people across the world, tour landmarks virtually, and immerse ourselves in international education opportunities from the comfort of home has certainly been an odd but wonderful surprise over the last year. So thank you all for joining us live today from over 15 countries and 90 institutions. It's a great pleasure to embark on this important conversation with each and every one of you. So I would now like to open the floor to our colleagues Samantha and Christian from the Universidad de Colima to speak next.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anastasia, very much. Let me just share our presentation with you. Over here. There it is. All right.
Okay, thank you for the invitation, University of Regina. It is a pleasure for us to be with you today. Well, we are from the International Affairs and Academic Cooperation Office at Universidad de Colima. And my colleague Christian Perez and I, Samantha Ortiz, can you please next the slide, Christian? We will talk about this process that we call From the Mobility to the Virtuality. Okay, the University of Colima has an internationalization policy that states the following. At the University of Colima, we prepare our staff and students to understand, work, contribute, and coexist successfully in the knowledge society and in multicultural environments. When the pandemic for COVID arrived to Mexico, classes were suspended, but also the mobility program. After a few weeks, the University of Colima decided to turn the classes into online, and also that the mobility program need to be transformed in order to continue creating these multicultural environments on behalf of our students and staff. So following with this commitment, the University of Colima decided at first step to participate in a program called Pila Virtual for Latin America universities. And for us was a guide in this process because we didn't know how to start with this transformation. And the second step we took was that we contact the whole faculties and school in the University of Colima in order to ask for their academic offer. The courses that will be available for that period. And also we adapted the forms from the mobility program to the virtual program, to this new virtual program. So at the same time, the international office contact to the whole partner institutions in order to ask for their academic offer, but mainly if they were going to offer a virtual exchange program too. So with this information, we design a call, and after that we promote our offer and their offer to our to our staff, and also to our students at UCOL and to the students for another universities. Next, please. Well, my colleague Christian is going to talk about the challenges we have faced in this process.
Well, of course, this situation brought a lot of challenges, and we transformed these challenges into opportunities, not only for us to be able to adapt to different situations, but also for all of the students of our institution, but also the students from our partner institutions. So the first big challenge was to the thought process of transforming the mobility program into a virtual exchange program. We didn't have as much time we would have liked to, but we had to have an immediate response to this situation in order to continue working with our internationalization policy. So the first thing to do was to train our professors to continue going on with the online classes and online subjects. Because, as we know, most of our classes at Universidad de Colima are face-to-face sessions. So most of our professors are not really trained to work online classes. So that was the first thing to do. Another challenge that our professors and students face was the time zone to attend different online classes. We have partners from different parts of the world, so the time zone is very different. So we have, for example, countries that we have just 1 hour difference, but we have also countries that we have 13 hours difference. So it is a very big challenge for our students and our professors to be able to attend synchronic courses at that time. And also the application of the proficiency English exam, which in our case is TOEFL. Most of the time this test was applied at the School of Languages at Universidad de Colima, but because of this situation, it was not possible to attend or to take the test at the facilities of the School of Languages. So we needed to think about a process that allow our students to take the exam without being there. So transform this again into a virtual program. So at the end, all of the challenges became a learning opportunity for us. And well, our biggest success is the virtual exchange program itself. All right, so we think that we have overcome a lot of things throughout the process of, detailing this virtual exchange program. And during our first period of this program, we have 49 foreigner students taking different courses at Universidad de Colima through this program. And we also have 22 students from Universidad de Colima taking this program in different partner universities during fall 2020. Then during our second period of the virtual exchange program, we have 25 foreign students and taking courses at Universidad de Colima, and then 8 students from Universidad de Colima taking courses in different partner universities. This second period has just finished 3 weeks ago. But we also have some other students participating in other programs that were also offered online, which is, for example, the UMAP-COEO joint program for 2020, which was offered by the Institute for Innovative Global Education and Kansai University in collaboration with UMAP, and also for this period that just started, we have more courses available for students. Okay, for fall 2020, we're just about to launch or call for online courses for fall 2020, and this is the biggest amount of subjects that we have offered in the history of Universidad de Colima. We also created 27 videos for visiting students in order for them to get to know a little bit about our educational system, which is also part of the exchange, virtual exchange program, and also activities that were created for them. We wanted this experience to be not just academic, but also cultural, because we wanted them to feel all of these, let's say, experience of cultural exchange that we have in the mobility program. But doing this virtually, it was a little bit difficult, but we find the way to plan it out and create activities. And also we have activities offered by different cultural centers and the museums around the country. So we offered all of these activities for our students. And also 35 courses that were taught online, but in an international collaboration. That means that we, Universidad de Colima, together with another partner university, taught the course together to different students from both universities. Out of the virtual academic exchange program, we are currently working on 79 projects and 97 networks, which continue to work on the internalization policy. And well, our idea is to continue working and to keep this program alive through, even though the situation is over, because we have realized that this program has given the opportunity to many students who doesn't have the resources to be able to experience all of these exchange, not just academic, but cultural as well. And we think that this is a very exciting opportunity for them. So we're still planning it out in order for it to work, even though things go back to normal. And well, I think that would be it. There are our contacts, Samantha's and mine over there, in case you have any questions after the presentation. Well, I would like to thank Universidad of Regina for this opportunity and this invitation. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Christian and Samantha. That was fantastic. And having such amazing success right off the bat in your fall term, your first semester opening up your virtual exchange is phenomenal. And to see that both your inbound and outbound students had great interest in the program, that's so impressive. So congratulations on your success.
Thank you very much, Anastasia.
No worries. Thank you. So next I would like
Thank you.
Oh, no worries, Samantha. Next, I would like to invite our colleagues, Casey and Sue from California State University, Monterey Bay, to share their perspective.
Hello, everyone. My name is Casey Scolavino. I am the International Student and Scholar Services Coordinator at Cal State Monterey Bay.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sujay Ronquillo, and I am the Academic Programs Coordinator for International Programs at Cal State Monterey Bay. And today, my colleague and I are going to be talking about definitely the transition from in-person to online, but also some of the successes that we've had around offering our virtual student support services, just because our university has found that our support services is what helps our students succeed and what helps our students in their academic journey at CSUMB.
So as many of you have, our campus also transitioned to a fully virtual environment since March 2020. So we had part of spring 2020 semester, all of our fall 2020 semester, and now we're halfway through our virtual spring 2021 semester. So we've had about 2 full semesters worth of online study. And I wanted to start by giving you a little context about our campus. We are one of the campuses of the California State University system. So it's the largest four-year public university system inside the United States, with the most diverse student body in the US as well. We are one of the smaller campuses, and we're normally an in-person semester, a walk-in and residential campus. The majority of our students do live on campus, both Americans and international students. So it was a big transition to switch to fully virtual. Our student population is about 7,500, and the average class sizes are usually 20 to 30 students. And to give you a sense, the international students are about 450 per semester, but right now we have 120 students studying fully virtually, about half from within the United States and the other half from their home countries.
CSUMB offers a total of 24 undergraduate degree programs with engaging professors that really pride themselves on offering this hands-on and theoretical experience in the classroom. So as you can imagine, one of the challenges was definitely to transition our in-person curriculum to online. Pre-COVID, our campus offered a very small list of online courses for students to participate in. But, I'm sure after, the pandemic has settled, we will continue to offer a wide range of online classes. With our classes, our faculty received training from our university to help them with the transition of getting their curriculum to an online model and help them with transitioning their classroom curriculum to our online platforms as well. In a normal semester for our exchange students and our visiting students, we help them to pre-register before the start of the term. And so once our class schedule is published, our admitted students will review the class schedule and will work with me to get enrolled. We will work together to make sure that the classes that they take are classes that they need at their home institution. And I'll work with them to ensure that they meet the requirements. And after we've identified that they meet the requirements, then we'll go ahead and enroll them prior to the start of the term. For our visiting students, they have the opportunity of enrolling in various subjects and various departments, even if they're not part of that specific area of study. As long as requirements are met, they pretty much have the opportunity of enrolling in any of these classes. And you know, during our virtual semesters, this stayed the same. For our students that decided to join us on a virtual exchange, we still worked with each other prior to the start of the semester to ensure that they were enrolled and to ensure that they had the class schedule that they needed. With some of our programs, as I mentioned, in addition to having that theoretical learning, there's a lot of hands-on experience. You know, just to give a quick example for our marine science program, we have a great diving program available for students that are looking to do, you know, underwater research, that are looking to have that experience with marine life. And although that's something that they weren't able to do in person, some of these classes still gave students that opportunity in a virtual setting, which was great during these last 2 semesters. To have more of a focus on the different services that we were able to transition from in-person to online. So academic advising is normally a service that we provide in person. For our degree students, each student will have an academic advisor depending on their area of study. For our visiting students, I serve as their academic advisor during their time at CSUMB. And so normally these appointments were held in person, but because our campus was closed, we transitioned from having these appointments either via Google Hangouts, via Zoom, and some of these appointments were already available online, but of course, because of our virtual setting, we were able to fully transition those appointments to online. And we've actually found that students do prefer some of these academic advising appointments via Zoom and Google Hangouts, just because it's easier for them to attend than in person. With our tutoring service, we have the Cooperative Learning Center on campus where students can get tutoring, can just get additional academic support. Normally, these appointments were held in person where students can, you know, join a group study session, can do one-on-one with our trained tutors. And so some of the virtual settings that we transition, these appointments were held via Zoom, via phone. And we also have an online system where students can submit their work online and get feedback from a tutor and have that feedback emailed them in a video. And so that's another opportunity for students to still get that support even though it is online.
So for career development, that's something that's very important on the CSUMB campus. And they transitioned our career center to a virtual format, which is great. So students still got to participate in virtual career development workshops, virtual job fairs. And then many of our students have actually had incredible success with finding internships in this virtual environment. They've been able to apply to internships all across the United States, which actually worked really well for them. So many of our students are doing a part-time internship during their program. We also had a resume workshop for students virtually so that they can learn how to incorporate this international virtual experience into their resume for future jobs. So that is kind of how we've transitioned our career development services. Our campus health center also transitioned to telehealth. So they do appointments via Zoom, phone call. They still help with all of the health needs that our students need during their time, even though it's virtual. And we do have a required internship or a required insurance component to our study. So any of the students that are physically here, we can help them with submitting claims, with finding doctors and all of those things. So everything continues just in a virtual environment.
With our Student Disability and Resource Center, their focus is ensuring that all our students have all resources that are needed in order to be successful in the classroom. If there's something that they need additional support on, our Student Disability Resource Center is there to help our students. Normally in an in-person semester, our Student Disability Resource Coordinators need to meet with students in person to do an initial assessment and assess what it is that they need in order to be successful. Well, these assessments were transitioned via Zoom. And so our Student Disability Resources Center just wanted to make sure that all students had what they needed to be successful in a virtual setting. Our Personal Growth and Counseling Center also transitioned their services online by providing online workshops. They provided online support groups, online counseling, one-on-one sessions, very similar to in-person. But students had the opportunity to do that in a virtual setting, which is nice because that wasn't something that we offered in the past. And so a lot of times students felt, a little strange, maybe that initial first time walking into the Personal Growth and Counseling Center and accessing some of these services. I think having the opportunity to do that in a virtual setting allowed them to feel more comfortable with that.
Our International Programs Office, we offered a lot of online advising, online cultural activities, such as coffee hours. We had a recipe challenge on Instagram that was very popular. We had all of our International Education Week speakers virtual. International orientation was virtual, as well as study abroad advising. We offered many workshops. And we also worked really hard to track our students virtually throughout the year, this whole year, to see where they are, how they're doing through online surveys. And we also offered a tuition-free short-term ESL program in the winter for our partners. So we were trying to find ways to keep engaging students at all possible during the virtual programming. Campus resources like the library continued to be online. Students can access all of the books and resources that they need for study.
As I mentioned, our campus is very hands-on, and so research is very important in our campus. We have an undergraduate research center, UROC, and so we, again, transition from having those in-person appointments, those in-person workshops, to having them virtually. What was great about that, we currently have a student from the University of Regina who's actually joining us on their virtual exchange, who's actually part of UROC. And so we were, very happy that students still had these services that they can participate in. Students, if they're part of UROC, will get matched with a mentor, one of our faculty members that will assist them with their research and with their work. And so now that we're in this, virtual setting, they're able to do that virtually as opposed to in person. With our clubs and organizations, so again, we wanted to make sure that we were engaging our students and still providing opportunities for students to interact with our campus and feel part of our campus community. We continue to offer various clubs and organizations that students can participate in a virtual setting. Every semester we host a Otter Club showcase where all our clubs and organizations show up to provide information to students, and students can sign up. So of course we did that in a virtual setting, and students still participated online in virtual meetings and virtual events as well.
And for the sake of time, I'll just go ahead and note that our campus events, our Otter Student Union, and our outdoor recreation program, they all transitioned to virtual. And these are just kind of a couple of examples of the different types of activities that they provided for the students in a virtual format.
And so at the end of this year, I think that the most important takeaway for us was, providing that support for our students and being the guides that they needed in order to, fully succeed in the semester and, get through such tough times. And so we have obviously, gone through some challenges, but we're very fortunate that our campus, took initiative early on to make sure that we were addressing, the pandemic and addressing upcoming challenges. And so in order for us to continue offering these services, we definitely do check in periodically and make sure that these services are still working for our students. And yeah, any questions that you may have about some of the virtual services that we offered, or if you need any additional information on how exactly we offer those services, we are available at the end of the presentation.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Casey and Sue. And as Sue mentioned, one of our students is virtually studying with Cal State MB right now and cannot say enough good things about your program and all the support you've given him over the semester. So it's really great to hear a little bit more information about the supports that you do have available. So thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
So next, we will be hearing from Vicki and Max from Bielefeld University of Applied Sciences.
Okay, let's start. Hello and good afternoon from Germany. Our colleagues from the International Office in Bielefeld are in close exchange with the colleagues from Regina, so they asked us if we could present something about our VE activities today. We are really thankful to be here. We would like to briefly introduce you to our project-based virtual exchange activities at Bielefeld University of Applied Sciences during the pandemic and beyond, meaning we will not present all the activities which are additionally offered by the International Office itself. To come to the next question, who are we? My name is Vicky, I'm an instructional designer, and with me here today is Max. He's a student virtual exchange facilitator, and we are both members of the project Digital Mobil. And now I will say some words to this project. The project is funded by the DAAD, the German Academic Exchange Service, and it started about a year ago. It aims to give all students a chance to gain international experiences, even if they cannot travel physically. Our strategy is to combine internationalization and digitalization and to use these synergies to develop new virtual exchange programs. And the program, or the project Digital Mobil, started just 3 months before the COVID-19 lockdown arrived in Germany. And that's why our university was in a lucky position, because we had a high motivated team to support the teachers in the new remote teaching situation and also to develop new virtual cooperations. On the next page, you can see some of our international partners. These are just the partners from our projects. We do have over 100 partners in our international office network. You see the white arrow pointing on Bielefeld, the northwest of Germany. We have our 4 strategic partners, the pink arrows, sitting in Finland, Turkey, South Korea, and the United States. And the black arrows showing our concrete teaching partnerships in the current semester. And it was pretty interesting to see how COVID come from Asia, from South Korea to Europe, and then floated over America. Pretty interesting, but also frightening. So I will hand over to Max now.
Yeah.
He will say.
Yeah, I will say some words about our virtual mobility approach. because during the pandemic, virtual mobility is often understood as an alternative for physical mobility, but in our approach, it is a complement to physical mobility. We want to understand virtual mobility as a chance for students who normally cannot travel abroad or do not want to travel abroad to gain international experiences. And that's why we want to maintain virtual mobility even when the pandemic has settled down, and to be at a supplementary offer. And our strategy is to qualify our lecturers for virtual exchange courses. And we do this by offering didactic support, technical support, and also administrative support. And to show you what we do in detail, we will now present to you our 4 sub-projects. The first sub-project is called Curricular and Study Programs. And in this sub-project, we use double degree programs and joint modules, which include virtual exchange activities, to make virtual exchange a sustainable part of our study programs. For example, we have a cooperation between our business faculty and the business faculty of the Turkish-German University in Istanbul. And in this cooperation, lecturers from both universities bring their students together to work in international groups. These groups play a business simulation game in which they develop a business strategy for an international company, and their strategy is evaluated by this simulation software. And this is one example for a joint module that we will have for the next years, and which is a good example for a sustainable virtual exchange offer that we make at our university. The second sub-project focuses on transnational teaching, and especially the skills lecturers need to teach internationally. Vicky and I offer workshops for our lecturers in which we introduce them to instructional design and facilitation strategies for virtual exchange. So we give them advice on how to design a virtual learning environment and discussion situations that make meaningful exchange possible. And we also support them in producing teaching media such as videos. And we publish these videos as open educational resources to make them accessible to as many lecturers as possible. To give you some examples of what we are doing in detail, I have 3 screenshots. In the upper left corner, you can see a self-study course that we have created. It's a course about intercultural competencies that's used by some of our lecturers to prepare their students for the virtual exchanges in the courses. On the right, we have a workshop on collaborative writing strategies that we have offered in a co-teaching class between Germany and Sweden. In this course, the students worked in international groups and wrote collaborative blogs about health issues during the pandemic in Germany and in Sweden. And we introduced them to collaborative writing strategies to help them organizing their writing process. And below, we have a screenshot from one of many tutorials that we have produced for our virtual incoming students, because we realized that our virtual incoming students need additional support to use our infrastructure. And Elias is our learning management system, and for someone who hasn't used it before, it's not the most comfortable learning management system, to be honest. So we realized it is necessary to give them additional support. And this was also important because of our sub-project 3, and Vicky will now tell you why.
Yeah, right. Sub-project 3 is taking a closer look to the digital infrastructure. And that's why we started to link the learning management systems so that virtual incomer students don't need a special guest account. And the students from another country can comfortably access our courses from their own learning management system. And we're using the e-learning community server technology for this. It's pretty nice that we also have IT members in our team, so we can do a lot by ourselves. And we are using Elias in Germany. It's really common in Germany, but we also can connect other systems, for example, like Moodle. Yeah, and sub-project 4 is focusing on the administrative steps of the student journey. So we are taking a closer look on how to simplify the administrative processes, such as enrollment or the recognition of credit points. One concrete example for this simplification is our micro-credential initiative between the 4 strategic partners. In this initiative, we offer over 150 courses, online courses, with a low-level effort on the administrative side. Because our virtual income students, for example, profit from a new enrollment status, where the students don't need to pay the study fees, and also the partner at Boise State University is able to waive the fees for the virtual incomers. And another point is that the students coming virtually to Germany don't need to pay the health insurance, which they normally have to pay if they physically or travel physically to Germany. Yeah, and we hope to get even more courses or more partners in this initiative in the further year or months.
At the end, I want to tell you about our key learnings from the last year, and I will start with the middle one, which is that the pandemic requires additional empathy towards students, but also towards our partner universities. In our cooperations, we realized that every university is hit by the pandemic in a different manner. And it is very important to consider this when planning cooperations. And we also heard about the need for flexibility when planning something during the pandemic. And I totally can confirm this. We had to be very flexible and to adapt very quickly to some sudden changes. The second key learning is that virtual mobility might require other support services than physical mobility, at least in our example, because we focus on the support of lecturers and virtual exchange courses. Here we need administrative support, technical support, and didactic support. And not all international offices can offer these supports. So it might be necessary to engage additional staff to support these forms of virtual mobility. And it is also very helpful to have staff in different departments of the university. For example, for us, it's really helpful to have a colleague in our IT department. And the last point I want to mention is that it is helpful to think sustainably and beyond the pandemic. Of course, we are now focused on the pandemic, but I think it is very important to plan for the time beyond and to think of virtual mobility as a sustainable possibility to provide all students with international experiences. And this is everything we wanted to say for the moment, and we are happy to answer your questions later today or via email. And thank you again for having us here today.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Vicky and Max. Micro-credentials is certainly a growing hot topic right now, so it's great to hear how many programs that you already have available within micro-credentials. It'll be interesting to see how you grow that virtually in the next few years as well. So thank you so much for sharing.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Perfect. So our last presenter for today, I will invite Miss Rosie Bonney from the University of Essex to give a brief introduction as to what's been going on at University of Essex over the last year.
Thank you very much, Anastasia. Let me just get this started. Fantastic. So hello, I'm Rosie Bonney. I'm the International Experience Manager at the University of Essex, and we're based in Colchester in the UK. So I have just got a couple of slides, and it really is just a brief snapshot of some of the challenges and opportunities that we've faced during the pandemic. So thank you so much to the team at Regina for the invitation. It's really appreciated. And it's been so great to hear from all the other speakers. So thank you for the invitation today. So I'm going to break this down into 3 sections of our outgoing students, our incoming students, and then our short-term programs, just to give a bit of a flavour of what we've been coping with. So when the pandemic hit, our biggest challenge really was managing all our students who were abroad and to get them home safely. Now, this wasn't possible for all of our students to return. So we had to deal with this on a case-by-case basis and make sure that all of our students were safe and accessing their learning still where possible. We also did a huge piece of work across our university called the No Detriment Policy to make sure that any of our students that were affected by the pandemic, they weren't disadvantaged in any way. So in our university, it's normal for students to take a full year abroad. So if I was studying psychology, for example, my end degree would be psychology, including a year abroad. So we did a big piece of work where students weren't able to finish their entire year of study to make sure that when they graduate, what they have managed to achieve will still be counted. So my degree title would change to psychology, including a study abroad period. And that is a piece of work that we're going to continue to support students who may not meet the full requirements for any reason going forwards. So unfortunately for this academic year, we did have to postpone any students taking part in a physical mobility. And that again has been another big piece of work, a very challenging piece of work, but we've been able to offer massive support to students via Zoom. So lots of one-to-one appointments, lots of kind of team meetings with students, and just really listening to them and supporting them wherever possible. And for next academic year, we are prioritising students that are in their final year of studies to complete their study abroad period. And we are allowing students to begin their studies remotely if our partners are happy for this to happen, which wasn't an option for last year's students. So just looking at all the options and making sure that students have every opportunity where possible. In regards to our incoming students, we had business as usual, so we still accepted incoming exchange students physically for the start of the autumn term 2021. The university offered free accommodation to allow students to arrive early and to self-isolate. The UK rules for lockdown are ever changing, so we just kept abreast of them and made sure that students had everything they need to do whatever they needed possible. Really, it's been a very interesting situation in the UK, as I'm sure it has across the world. We did actually change this, so we allowed students to study virtually at the start of spring, summer of this year, just to the escalation of COVID in the UK. We've also allowed incoming students to take reassessment. This is a voluntary option. This hasn't been available to incoming students before, so we're really pleased to be able to offer that as a further kind of arm of support. Moving forwards to next academic year, we haven't got a decision yet on teaching for the autumn term, but if there is virtual learning, then exchange students will be able to access this. One of our key successes as a university is that all of our services and classes transferred online quite seamlessly. So we had a really good system in place anyway. So we were able to shift everything across quite easily. And for those students that were on campus, so we had some international students that kind of got stuck on campus, if you like, we were able to offer some in-person support options following the guidance from the UK government. Another key success that I'd just like to touch on briefly is our short-term or summer programs. We ran a whole host of virtual programs with our partners from different universities and internship and volunteering options across last summer. They were super popular. It wasn't something that we anticipated, but I think, like some of the other speakers have mentioned, it really opened up some opportunities for students that might not have normally been able to take part in a international experience. So we saw students that were parents, students that were carers taking part, students that might be on a low budget accessing these options. And that is something that we hope to continue doing. So keep promoting and keep running those programs even when travel is allowed in the future. So yeah, it's been a really interesting experience. I'm sure there's more challenges and hopefully more opportunities to come. So I'm happy to answer any questions at the end of the presentations. And thank you again for inviting us along.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rosie. To see how you've juggled both virtual and person programming with the ongoing changes and restrictions within the UK is certainly impressive. You guys have done some amazing work to adapt as necessary with how quickly things have changed for you guys. So thank you for sharing your perspective there. I think it's unique to some of the other countries that have had just more consistent lockdowns throughout the year. So thank you so much.
No problem.
So that concludes our presentation portion. And thank you again to all of our speakers today. The creative and innovative strategies that you have created to adapt to this new virtual environment was amazing to hear.